Welcome to episode 4 of the JimCast. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jim. I'm Jim Distortion on the internet due to the fact that I used to be a musician and I adopted that name and it's stuck. I am sat on my pew in my office because it seemed like the right place to be for confessions, for thoughts that run through my brain, for things that I might be able to share with you that might help you in your journey. And that's what the JimCast really is. I am a situational mentor, which is kind of like a counselor, kind of like somebody who just listens, kind of gives you the time of day to air what it is you need to work through. The reason why I call myself a situational mentor is because everyone goes through situations, and usually, even though those situations may differ, there becomes a cycle of behavior that becomes attainable. We recognize it. We see what it is that causes us to react, to interact in the way we do. And what is interesting to me is the fact that I seem to be able to see those cycles and we talk about them. It's not solution-based. I am not here to tell you what to do, but every single one of us knows what we need to do already. But we may not be able to find our way to that decision. We may not be able to understand that there are answers inside of us. The other side of that is we may not have the confidence in ourselves to reach those decisions and have the clarity and the forcefulness of thought to actually act upon them. Most bad cycles are caused because of 3 things: low self-esteem, self-doubt, and lack of knowledge. I've been talking a lot recently about moving forward, always moving forward, one step at a time, one day at a time. That's a lot of things that come from AA and CA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, all of those. Obviously being an addict in recovery myself, I do not follow the 12 steps. But I do understand that a lot of the steps and advice that is given by those organizations is amazing. It's very clear to me that we all need to understand that without forward motion, without the ability to find clarity, without a purpose, we're not going anywhere. So look, the JimCast is just me, my phone, my office, sat on my pew. And I'm going to take you through a few subjects through this. And what I'm not looking for is for you to buy into my bullshit. I am after you to listen to what I say and take what you can from it in a positive light. If you disagree with me, you always have the comments below to tell me that I'm full of shit. But make sure that when you try and knock someone down, that you have a cogent argument. An argument that stands up to what I'm saying, because arguments actually are just conversations with passion. So conversations with passion are how we solve our problems. So should you disagree with anything I say, that's totally and utterly valid. That's totally and utterly able to open a door for communication. And communication is everything that I stand for. Whatever situation you are in, whether you are fighting with a spouse, having a problem with a parent, having a problem with your child, not understanding why you can't be seen or heard in a certain situation, that can all be solved by communication, not by anger, not by emotion, not by an overly exerted need to find yourself right. Now let that sink in for a second. Conversations are not about being right or wrong. Conversations are about learning the forward direction and understanding that from conflict of words, people can find peace. From conflict of emotions, people can find pain and argument and destruction. There's too much destruction in this world as we sit here. As we watch the world around us seemingly fall apart, what we also forget to remember is the narrative we are seeing on our TV screens is one that a news network wants to provide us with. The the trouble with today's overindulgence in information is that people know too much, but they don't know what truth is. I can't tell you what the truth is in these conflicts and battles, right? I can't tell you who's right or who's wrong, but what I can tell you is that from that I can see that conflict hurts innocent people. So we de-escalate that from a worldwide situation down to us. We can see that we take emotion out of our conflicts, then we have conversation. Conversations can be anything, right? From discussing what you're going to eat with your family, which believe me causes quite a lot of arguments, to, real issues about people's mental health, about how they feel about the way they're talked to, whether they feel seen, whether they feel heard. All of these things can be looked at with conversation. So before we dismiss communication as something that's not able to happen, we should find a way to make it happen. Because if we do not, then doors get closed. There is no conversation for a while, then there is loneliness, there is solitude. There are people that should be talking and should be still together, but they've drifted apart because they cannot communicate without emotion. Obviously, it's impossible, right, to look at every situation without emotion. Anything to do with your children, anything to do with your spouse, anything to do with interactions in a negative fashion can make you feel sad, bad, angry, guilty, sometimes even wretched, so you don't know what to do. But if you keep talking, you will find out that it's not always about solutions, but it is about listening to two sides of every story. Every single person on this planet has been in a situation where they try and fill the gaps in a conversation with the words, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You don't know how they feel. You do not know how the other person in front of you feels because you're not them. You can maybe understand some of the things that are going on, but when somebody says to you, I know how you feel, you don't. So stop saying that, right? Because that's a huge deflection. What that's actually saying is, actually, shut up. I don't want to hear anymore. I know what you're saying. It's boring. You're boring me. What should be said is the fact that this is exciting. Let's talk about it. Okay, I'm hurting a little bit. So that emotion means that this is important. Using emotion where it shows itself, be that happy, be that sad, be that angry. If emotion shows itself with you in a situation and you weren't expecting it, then you can see that it's touched a nerve. That conversation, that communication can be guided by the things that influence you. So, somebody touches a nerve, mentions your weight, mentions your height, mentions your religion, mentions your way of thinking, your way of talking, your accent, the skin color, anything like that. When you react negatively to what somebody's saying, as long as they're not just being openly hostile, you can see the truth in yourself about where you're going, how you feel. And once you start to understand how you're feeling, where you want to go, why you're not going there, then you get to conversate in a way that shows forward momentum. You can take away all of the negativity, because sometimes the negativity is just driven by emotion. You're protecting yourself. It's totally natural to protect yourself. But what's really useful is when you strip it down to the bare conversation where the words actually are heard and there's interaction on a level playing field, not an emotional one. You can lead yourself to what needs to happen. So, husband and wife who are arguing because they're not listening to each other, if they strip it all down, they start to listen, they start to interact better. You're talking to a child who you think doesn't give a shit about what you say or how you're saying it. That child feels like there's no point in saying anything because they're not heard. So shut up and listen to them. Listen to everything they say, even if it's against you. Understand that sometimes in parenting, you don't make the right response. Overall, this is all about communication. Strip away your emotions, talk every situation out.
and clarity will be achieved.
I'd be an angel if I stuck feathers through my skin. And the long and short of it is, I wouldn't know where to begin.